All right, we're good. All right, we're here with Will Lyle. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me, Louie.
Of course, man. I'm glad you're here, and I know you've been on your little travels. Dude,
true.
you've been killing it.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
We're let's see. I have questions, man, because I want to hear about Cuba.
Yeah, absolutely.
How was that? You went to where you were in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
My old stomping grounds of getting robbed.
Oh my God, yeah. You know, it's so funny. So within an hour of me posting that I'm going to play at El Convite, Louis comments on my Facebook thing and it says, I got a great story about El Convite, but I don't want to tell you until you come back because it might trip you out. I'm like, okay, I got to know what this is because I have to mentally prepare. Like, is it food? Is it danger? Is it something else? Is it like what happened? Like what, you know? And then sure enough, he got robbed there. But and then you showed me a podcast episode. Where
I talked because Adrian was here and we were talking.
Right.
We were like trading robbery stories. Anyways, you can check that out. But I'm glad it was the gig. Did it go?
Yeah,
well?
the gig was cool. You know, the audience.
It's a small spot.
Yeah, the audiences there are really awesome. You know,
Dude, that's one thing about Mexico is they just love the music way more. You can like feel it. It's way different.
Yes.
Like I just went down to TJ to play at the jazz club down there. That place is cool.
Mm-hmm. And
it was packed and they just were way into it.
That's
it's
fantastic.
Just so much. You're totally right.
Yeah. And what was great is that, you know, I think they all know, I think everybody, especially in Mexico City, knows that you go down there. It's a haul to get down there for us, you know?
And you're usually,
jump through these hoops. You get used to the thing in Mexico, which is if you're first time, it's definitely a learning curve, you know, but they were all very appreciative. They got a lot of new followers, got a lot of people buying CDs. And it was, I felt like it was very genuine. And also it helped us because we used a drummer that I went to school with who was from DF.
Oh, cool.
So he went back there and made his career there. And so he also like brought his people, like people that follow him.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did it the right way. Where did you get to play?
So we played it. First night was at ElectricLouieLand. It's a new venue,
Okay.
and I highly recommend it.
I heard of this place, I think.
Highly recommend. And then so also this lady who's also a great drummer, Paulina Mercado, helped us book ElectricLouieLand and Convite, and she really like put it all together. Was very, very helpful. So thank you, Paulina.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Paulina, you're killing it. But yeah, man, I mean, Mexico is definitely they definitely have a different vibe. Just when you're playing, like you could be playing. I don't know. It's not that people here would overlook it. It's just that the vibe is so much. They're just so much more into it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, they also have. I think there's a big legacy there, especially in Mexico City, of Don Zone bands and Cuban music.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are naturally like into high art culture. Like if you're going out and spending money, you're probably into that kind of stuff. And there's a lasting old world influence that I think isn't present always in the States.
Okay.
You know, and it was cool too because we played a cumbia to close because I wrote a cumbia.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
and they loved that. So that was cool. You know,
That's
I was
nice,
just happy to
dude.
play the cumbia in Mexico for everybody.
So what is this? Is this the project you're talking about?
Yeah. So this is my new new album called Triogram.
Triogram, sick.
Yes. And that's a new record with my buddy Bijan Tagavi and my other friend Kofi Shepsu. And Bijan's on piano, Kofi's on drums, and this is basically, you know, I wanted to release something that was that was a leader date, but not under my name.
Okay.
So kind of like a Bad Plus sort of vibe.
Yeah, it's like a band.
Yeah, like a band, and you know, there are a lot of reasons I had for that. One, because it markets the three of us versus just me, you know, and two, I wanted to get the same band for every song. Like my last record, I had different bands for every song, and I wanted to get the same sound, sonoric quality. And you know, I love piano trio. Like I could listen to piano trio all day.
Right, of course.
So yeah.
So like on each tune, you mean? I get you.
Yeah.
You like hearing that sound.
Yeah.
So you played an Arango tune?
Yeah. There's a Hermanos Arango tune on there. I told the story last night at my gig. You know, that when I moved to, you know, I to long story short.
Yeah, tell everyone sort of sum it up.
Let me take this giant trench coat off. It's cold outside in California. So basically, you know, Louis knows me. I played a lot in San Diego, even though I was commuting from LA. I've never lived here, but I've played here tons of times. And one of the gigs that I used to do was at the Hotel Del, right, for the holidays. And I would like every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every Mother's Day.
Yeah, I've done that gig before. Up on the top.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
funny.
exactly. and Ignacio would share the gig with me. Like usually when I go back home to eat with my mom, Ignacio would take over for me and play for the next. He's also a great bass player, and I knew that Ignacio was from this musical family in Cuba, but I didn't really know about them. And so I moved to New York after doing all those gigs, and I went to this record store in East Harlem called El Barrio Music Center, and it's all Latin music. Okay. And it's CDs from Cuba, from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. And I'm sifting through the CDs, and I see this record, and it says Hermano Sarango, and it's a guy holding a drum, like a traditional bata drum.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, it's probably Afro-Cuban, it's I know the name Arango, I know Ignacio,
and you flip it over,
and I flip it over, and it's like, oh, that's sure enough, that's Eugenio, that's his brother,
of course. Yeah.
And I'm like, let me just buy it to support, I have no idea how it's gonna sound, and maybe it sucks, I don't know, but I turned it on. It was like the first thing I pulled on, I put on my stereo, and it was easily the best CD that I bought that day, and it blew my mind. Like my earth was shattered because I'd never heard traditional Afro-Cuban, chanting and drumming combined with the heavy freaking fusion arrangements that were created by Feliciano, the brother.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. He's basically created a whole style of playing.
I know. It's so fucking awesome, man. Can I swear on
whatever you want, bro? Who cares?
Yeah, no, it was just like, it just blew my mind, and I had to be around it somehow. I had to hear more of it, and so I transcribed probably the easiest tune on that record called Asohano, because every other song, it's like they start off with one groove and then they modulate to another groove, and then there's like all these insane hits. So I wanted to do something that was kind of piano trio friendly,
and that's the one you did,
obviously. Called Asohano. And I found this out. Asohano is the Arara. So Arara is a Afro-Cuban group, Afro-Cuban ethnic group in Cuba. They have their own words for things. It's separate from the other groups, and that's their name for the Santeria god of Babalu Aye.
Okay.
And Babalu Aye is another manifestation of the supreme god Olodumare.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what it's about.
Man, I used to live with my buddy Jacob, and he would play bata drums. He was really into that. Yeah.
Really? Jacob who?
Russo?
Yeah, you told me that.
So I like soaked in a lot of that just because I would constantly hear it, and I love that stuff. It's just like especially when you hear them play the bata, and it's
and the unified drumming,
dude,
and
so
the interlocking
sick.
rhythms. Yeah. There's so much in common with jazz that I really wish people would like take note of. Like for instance, when you have the call and response thing, which is considered very African. I mean, obviously it manifests in certain forms of European music, but the way we know call and response is a single soloistic voice responded to by a crowd, right?
Right.
Well, you have that in big bands too.
Right.
You have a lead trumpet playing a solo or the main melody, and then you have the big band responding
to it. Yeah.
And then when you go to Cuba and you actually hear it and you see it happen, it's like, oh, okay, you can put two and two together. Because I mean, you asked me about Cuba, I saw that kind of stuff every night.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, every night in the streets there was music. In Havana Vieja, there's music. You go outside and it's like a 10-piece Afro-Cuban drumming group, and it's packed, man. Like there are like 2,000 people there, like just listening, like getting drinks on the street, getting crazy food, dancing, like until the wee hours. I mean, it's wild, man. It's wild. Yeah.
Sounds like you had fun, dude.
Yeah, it's great.
I've never been to Cuba, but I love that music, so I'm sure I would love it.
Highly recommend. It's a learning curve, also like Mexico, but for its own reasons.
Well, and it's just their Spanish sounds so much different.
Man, I could not understand. I mean, luckily, when I moved to Washington Heights, which is a heavily Dominican American population, they speak more similar to Cubans, because it's Caribbean. So it's more combined together. The L and the R sounds are similar. Things get jumbled. Whereas in Mexico, they speak very clearly.
Right.
It's like the closest to Spain. People from Spain tell me that Mexico's the closest to Spain, to Spanish.
Oh, I
Spanish.
see. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, dude, sometimes when I listen to Ignacio talk in English,
I know.
I'm like, wait, what'd you say?
Yeah, but I don't know if I think even Ignacio, I think they're even more extreme than a lot of Cubans, because I met some Cubans who speak more clearly. But
dude, I gotta get them on.
Yeah, you do, man.
Okay, I'm gonna call you.
I want to watch it. It's so crazy. Like, I know I freak them out. Like, I must be their biggest fanboy in the world, because I'm constantly commenting on their shit, and I'm like, it's
dude,
probably
I'm
way
sure
too much.
They love it, man.
Yeah,
I think it's cool because, and it's funny because you kind of came full circle because you know Ignacio.
Yeah, I know. I know, bro. I know. I've never had that happen. Well, I totally admire like all my friends' music. I mean, I try to support, as much as I can, and especially if it's stuff that I feel like is out of what I normally do. Mm-hmm. I want to know more about it. But in that case, them being older than me, and also with Feliciano was the bass player. You probably know the bass player of Enje La Banda. Mm. So he was already in some like legendary Cuban groups. Yeah. And so like to just be connected to that, I really think, man, that there's like a huge, when you're playing music, if there's something that speaks to you, if you stick with that enough and you hone your shit enough and you go along with it, you just keep going with what resonates to you, eventually a situation will manifest where you find yourself with the creators. Right. I see and that's one of the coolest parts about music, man.
Yeah.
That's like an amazing
that's
thing.
true, because you inadvertently end up finding them.
Yes. They found you somehow, and then eventually
you've been doing that a lot though.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, like you entered, like when I went and saw you guys at Dizzy's with John Mayer. I was like, dude, who is? I didn't know who he was, and I loved it. I was like, and you're like, dude, just trust me. And these guys, and he played like 2 long sets.
Yeah.
And he's like an older guy. Like he's just killing on piano. Like
he's fantastic.
Yeah, dude, that's great, man. I mean, you've been doing. So what do you have planned? Or wait, so DFA was cool.
DFA was cool. Yeah.
How long were you there?
We were there for 4 days total. Like we had like a travel day, and then we were there like for 4 days, and we like left on the end of Sunday. And basically we did like the first night we got there, we rehearsed with the drummer. Then the next 2 days we had gigs. Then we were supposed to have another thing which kind of fell through. So then we just ended up going to the pyramids that day. And that was killing.
Yeah, it's wild, the history there.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty crazy.
I know. I was in my, I was like about to go to bed, and I wanted to watch a documentary. So I watched a documentary about the Aztecs. It was like some kind of History Channel. Yeah. And it was like, all these stories of like Cortez going there, like what the Spanish said happened and what the Aztecs said happened, and like, there's a prophecy that Cortez was Quetzalcoatl.
Of course, that's the whole thing. Right. That's why Mexico City is where it is, right? It's like that's the whole thing with the snake.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the flag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just what they know.
I know.
Supposedly, whatever, like from writings and stuff. Mm. And it trips me out though, like how the Spaniards just came and literally put their church on top of the other church.
I
like the native church. Like you go there and you're like, wait, so these guys are just literally on top of it? And it's like, yeah. Like they came in, they're like, nah.
Oh yeah, man, it's crazy. History from that time is crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, and honestly, I kind of am fascinated with like some of the history of the Amazon, because they don't even really know. Like the big, all the whole area down in Latin America, there's like huge amounts of land that they don't even know what is really going on because it's so thick.
I know.
They can't even see.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I think there are some tribes still in the Amazon that have very little contact with the outside.
Oh yeah, there is, dude.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's like some crazy, I mean, you're basically in that Stone Age somewhat. Yeah. And then you have people, us right here. Like, look at this. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, they say the happiness rates in those societies are much higher than developed. I mean, granted, if all your bases are taken care of, I'm sure there's might be truth to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now we have too many options, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, especially in the era of the internet, but that's what's cool too, though. Anyway, so what do you got planned? You're playing Dizzy's tonight?
Yeah, we're playing Dizzy's tonight with Bijan's playing, and then Mark Ferber's on drums.
Oh, cool.
That'll be fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing? When are you going back to New York soon, or what's your plan?
We got one more gig. We're going to Arizona tomorrow, and then we have a gig on Friday with Lewis Nash at the Ravenscroft. So that'll be killing because they're gonna hopefully get some video. And I love Lewis Nash. I mean, that's another one where it's like I love Tommy Flanagan for so many years. One of my the first time I saw Lewis Nash on YouTube, like the first time I discovered him, in my ignorant salad days, he was playing with Tommy Flanagan and Peter Washington.
You said salad days?
Salad days, yeah. I love that phrase.
I've never heard that.
Never heard it? It just means when you're inexperienced, you know? Yeah, and they it was with Tommy Flanagan. And it just that was another thing that just completely blew my mind. And I'm like, I really want to play with Lewis Nash someday. And then last year, I was playing at the Newport Jazz Festival. And he shows up to this dinner party that I got invited to. I didn't want to even go to the party. Okay. Like I did not want to go. And I hate parties. I hate socializing. I hate trying to fake it up with people.
Right.
But he was there, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything to him. I'm gonna keep it cool. And then finally, after 15 minutes, I couldn't handle it anymore. And I'm like, Mr. Nash, I love your playing with Tommy Flanagan. La, la, la. And he's like, oh man, thank you. That was like my postdoctorate studies. And then we also told some great stories about my late mentor, Ralph Peterson.
Okay.
Because Lewis Nash was like a couple years younger than Ralph.
Okay.
But they were similar generation.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, I get you. Nice, man. Well, let's see here. I mean, I think it's cool how you're just going all over the place playing, dude.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
You got a new record. This is great, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, Thanks. Man, I'm doing what I can. It's an investment. It's not really. I'm not at the money making stage yet.
Yeah.
But it's going. It's everything is a stepping stone, right?
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't all come right at the beginning.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit takes a while.
What was so can you tell me what was New York like being there?
Oh man.
And I mean you're still there, but I'm just saying you went there where you were going to school and then now you're just kind of playing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I went there to study at MSM for my master's, and luckily got some time with Ron Carter.
Oh yeah. So how was that?
It was amazing, man. Like Ron is the consummate musician, bassist, teacher. Really like the best teacher I've ever had.
So I'm curious, what does he have you do? Like what was it's I mean, you don't have to tell me everything.
No.
I'm kind of sum up how does he approach I'm just curious.
Yeah.
How does he approach teaching jazz and
good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Ron is just super into hands, man, sound and technique.
Okay.
That's the majority of the lessons.
Okay.
And so usually every week he'll have you prepare between 2 and 4 classical etudes, pizzicato.
Okay.
You gotta play with them with the metronome.
Okay.
And you gotta follow all the dynamics, articulations,
right.
all that kind of stuff. And
you have to play the piece.
Yeah, and they're deads.
Okay.
And then once you do that for about a year and a half, 2 years, then he gives you the Bach cello suites. Okay. So that's been my thing right now is playing those pizzicato. So that aside, once the technique is done, that's probably 3/4 of the lesson is having you play it, talking about it, and then having him give some suggestions and saying, well, try to do it like this, or no, that's not right, you got to do this.
So are you talking about harmony at all, or it's all technique focused?
Well, then after that he'll have you write a bass line often. So one of his things is for everyone watching, this is a free Ron lesson. I'm sure he wouldn't mind because the information is so ubiquitous. But basically, you got to write a bass line with only chord tones first, and you can't use any chromatics, no passing tones, and only quarter notes, and only half position. So you can't move your hands, basically.
Oh, okay. So you got to do it in that one position.
Yeah. And it's like an F blues. Okay. And then he moves it, and then the next week you add passing notes.
Okay.
And then the next week after that,
chromatic
you add
or whatever.
Yeah, you add rhythms.
Okay.
But still sparingly. Everything is within a process.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he'll have you do a melody of a song, or he'll have you do a 2-feel on a song, but most of it is not conceptual.
Okay.
Most of it's very technical, but it really helps. It's really continue to shed his stuff, man. Cause basically my generation, and a few generations, previous to mine, with the exception of some, but especially my generation, I feel like every pretty serious bass player who's in New York has studied with Ron, unless they went to Juilliard. Unless they went to Juilliard after he left, because Ron used to be at Juilliard too.
Okay,
but basically, like, I mean, I'll name like peers of mine that are more established in New York that are from New York that I consider really good. Russell Hall, Mikey Migliore,
yeah, okay.
Jason
they all studied with.
Yeah, they all studied with Ron.
Okay.
Giuseppe Cucchiara, Dan Finn, my buddy in LA, Mike Garola, me, we all studied with Ron.
I mean, how could you not?
Well, I also, Maestro is, like, again, fantastic, like most recorded bass player ever. There's just some bass players who decide, I'm not into that. I don't want to do that kind of playing.
I see. I can understand that.
I want a different approach. I mean, there are other guys over there who don't like using amplifiers at all, who like to play pretty like acoustically. There are guys who like to play a lot of arco solos, and that's not always Maestro's focus. So if you're not focused on that, but I highly recommend any bass player, if you can, to try to do some of his concepts.
Yeah, I get you. No, that makes sense. And I can understand, like, maybe you want to go in a different direction of, like, right off the bat, I guess, of just not, I don't know. It sounds weird, though, because I feel like especially jazz, you inherently have to study the past and then to get some, in the future. Totally. So it's like, I can understand, like, not wanting to, but at the same time, I just feel like if you could, at least a few lessons or something.
I know. Well, it'd be like studying with Wes for you, if you could go study with Wes,
let's go, baby. Honestly, though, like, I have some of my students play some certain Wes tunes and, like, a solo piece specifically by Wes. And dude, I've learned this song I don't know how many times. Like, I memorize. I try and remember it. It's just very rarely am I sitting down playing a whole solo piece. But, like, I've learned this piece several times, and I swear every time I go through it, it's like every 4 bars. It's just pure gold.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's pure gold, dude. Like, every 4 bars is guaranteed the lesson you're gonna get. Just like, okay, here, just look at how perfect this is. Just like, just look at it.
Yeah, they shape it, man. They're artisans, like the jazz musicians, especially of that time. It's like it's a craft.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like when you hear Wes and the Mikosa piece, it's like, dude, the way he's navigating through the harmony and just like, it's obviously a piece, but it's so Wes, like you can just see, like, it just, the way he's navigating, he's like major, and then he's in like the minor, and then he's doing all the, it's great. Like all these chord stuff.
It's his original? I don't know that song.
Yeah, it's called Mikosa.
Okay.
And it's I don't know why they didn't include it in the Smoking at the Half Note album, because it's from that concert.
Oh.
And the reason I know is because when I first found it, I probably on YouTube or something, I don't remember, but I first found it, or it might have been on an album, because there's strings on an album with him playing it, and then there's strings over it. Which is cool, but like, Yeah. I always thought like, wow, this would be really sick if it was just Wes. And then I found a version online, and I heard the guy announcing, and the guy from Smoking at the Half Note album, if you listen to it, you hear some guy like announce it, because it was live on the radio. This like streaming before streaming, bro.
Yeah.
And they're like playing a concert and then, putting it to the radio. So you have this guy like announcing, and he's kind of a goober, honestly.
Yeah.
And like, just
please put your hands together.
Just the way he's talking to
for Wes Montgomery.
He almost kind of laughs at him. Like in this one, like he's
really?
like, I don't think he means to. It's just, I think he thinks Wes is just like, I don't know what it is. It's just when I listen to it, you hear him say, okay, Wes, like, what do you want to play? He's like, Mikosa. And he's like, well, what do you want to play? And then he's like, Mikosa. And the guy's like, and the guy just kind of laughs because he doesn't understand what he's saying.
Right.
But he thinks he's like not, I don't know what he thinks he's saying. But and then after Wes proceeds to play this most beautiful solo piece. And then the guy's like, oh, Wes, what was that song? Like, wow, that was amazing. And it's just like, it's like out of here.
Mikosa,
Like, yeah, he told you. Like,
yeah, well, that's another topic for another day. But at that time, that's what a lot of people did, is they would disparage this like incredible music. Like it was considered like, it was considered like simplistic. It wasn't given the same legitimacy, but it's like, I mean, it's undeniably fantastic.
But at the end of the song, he's like, "Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
what is that?"
Yeah. It's like,
I don't think he meant
arrogance.
to. Anyway, that's one part that always bothers. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, dude, just shut up. Like,
Yeah.
you're talking to Wes. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
I know,
talking
I
about?
know, right?
Dude? Like,
Wow.
anyways, but yeah, I got sidetracked there, but I just love that piece. I mean, dude,
a great story.
learning from that stuff is, I mean, it's killing, dude. So what do you do? Like, what do you do on your own when you're playing? Yeah, because, dude, honestly, like every fucking song.
Oh, stop.
Like I over here, I learned, if you could see me now, I got it.
nice.
I got the chord. I love the chord subs.
Yeah.
You and the one that.
All right, with
is
those,
the-
John.
Is that Tad? Is that like Tad?
No,
Denver?
I think that's John likes to put that in there.
Okay, because my favorite part is the BE at the end.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
killing.
it's killing, right?
That
yeah.
2-5 and then like, woo.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny you asked because I learned a lot of that stuff from a mutual friend of ours,
Okay.
Mikan Zlatkovich.
Okay, wait, can we talk about Mikan?
Yes, we can.
I gotta get
Of
Mikan
course,
on.
Of course. You have to get Mikan on.
I
man.
love that guy.
You have to. That guy is a legend of San Diego. And
Dude, he is.
moving to New York, I appreciate him even more.
Really?
Like when I come back, I can realize like, damn, this motherfucker is so good.
Yeah,
man.
bro.
He is so
And
good.
he's like the real deal.
He's the real deal, man.
Like,
You
tell
know?
people who might not know. Like, explain.
Okay, so
explain.
Mikan Zlatkovich is a fantastic pianist, jazz pianist from Serbia. He was in New York for 5 years. He moved
Okay.
to New York when he was 28, and then when he was like 32, 33, he came to San Diego with his wife. And man, he is just this guy. Like, this is in certain towns, especially in the old days, they would have like a school you would like a pianist who was considered like an elder statesman, like where you would go learn, like you go get your ass kicked and then you'd come back next week and be better.
Right.
In New York, that was Harold Mayburn.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Like Harold Mayburn was the guy.
Yeah.
Where people's band, and then in other places in Memphis. Phineas Newborn was an elder in Memphis, but there were several musicians in Memphis who did that. There were several musicians in New Orleans who did that.
Okay.
That there was a singer in like the Milwaukee area named Penny. I forgot, but Gerald Cannon was in her band, so she did that for Gerald Cannon.
Okay.
So like these are like people who we don't like. I'm careful with how I say this. Like very, very, very good local musicians who like are very experienced and they kind of take young musicians under
It's kind
their
of like
wing.
Daniel Jackson, too.
Yeah. And maybe for whatever reason, the industry or situations or otherwise, they don't get the name recognition.
Yeah.
As somebody who like doesn't know anything about jazz would know. Oh, I know this pianist and that pianist. Well,
Right,
this
right.
pianist is just as good over here. You just don't know
You just
them.
don't know who they are.
Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
once you hear them, it's like then you're convinced. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So to me, like that's Mikan, man.
Yeah.
Like Mikan is like the hidden gem of San Diego. I mean, he's no secret to us, to the
Right,
musicians. We
yeah.
all know that he's the baddest. You
Right.
know? So like, yeah, I mean, so basically, I was 22 years old. I graduated from Berkeley. I had no gigs coming back. I had no gigs. I had to get back in the scene, like, cause I would come in the winter times, and I would have like gigs here and there, and I'd show up at the jam sessions, and then stuff would happen. But I had no gigs. I was like sitting around just practicing all day, and then this drummer named Brian Cabrera, who's a really cool swing drummer and also a good singer. He's got his thing that he does, and he's got his band and everything. But at the time, he was playing a lot with Mikan.
Oh, okay.
And so, I got into myself. I can't talk about it on the podcast, but at that time, I was going through like a very like chaotic, unstable time being
Okay.
a young man graduated and doing some really stupid shit.
Okay.
And then I just got the call one day for this gig in the middle of July, and it was at Eddie V's La Jolla. He's
Okay.
like, "Do you want to come to La
Of
Jolla?"
course,
I was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, man, I'll go to La Jolla." I was living in downtown LA at the time. It's like, well, I don't have anything to do. And I may as well get out of LA.
Right.
So I went, and it was like, and every two, Mika would not tell me.
No, he doesn't say
song,
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, the song, the key,
Nothing, dude.
the tempo.
Yeah.
He just doesn't even count it off.
He just looks at you.
He just starts playing. Dick, 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 or it just like immediately
Right,
into
just into it,
lines.
yeah.
And it's like, oh God, what are we playing? He's like, don't worry, you know it. You know it.
No, I don't, dude.
So Mikan, like, eventually I found myself playing. So he was playing at that time. It was pre-pandemic. So he was playing downtown San Diego Mondays, La Jolla Tuesdays.
Oh, right.
And so I found myself doing like alternating Monday and Tuesday, like coming down to SD every week. And I really got my ass kicked. Because, I mean, I was using my ears the whole time, you know, and learning new tunes all the time and learning how to solo on the new tunes all the time. Like, that sucked, man. Like, you really, like, I mean, even in those days, like, until I went to college, like, when I came back from college, I mean, not college, from graduate stuff, that's when I finally, and I changed my practice routine around a little bit. That's when I finally felt comfortable, like, getting to Mikan's level. Mm-hmm. Like recently I come back and I feel more comfortable.
Right.
But at that time it like really kicked my ass for years. And he got on to me about like my sound. Like, man, what's going on with your sound, man? What's going on with your amp, man? What's going on with your strings, man? Why it's out of tune, man? Why are you tuning every song, man? What are you, a clown? You know, he calls me clown.
He calls
you
clown.
That's my nickname, you know. It's the clown, the original clown, the Will Lyle, the clown.
Dude, that shit is so funny.
You know, he's from Serbia, and my family's from Austria. My mom's family's from Austria.
Whoa.
You know, so Austria at one time used to own Serbia.
Oh,
so
shoot.
I told, you know, a month into knowing him, I'm like, yeah, you know, my family's from Austria. He goes, man, they are arrogant over there. They are arrogant. You know, I don't like them. They are mean. You know, it's like, well, fair enough. You know, in those days. Yeah, it was fantastic. And he, you know, he's like my stepdad, man. Like, he would bully me,
dude,
man.
he's a ball buster.
Oh my god.
Dude, thank God I get along with him. He doesn't really harass me. He's pretty nice to me, but I think it's like a love thing. If he really likes you, it's like he's going to give you shit.
Yeah, totally.
The clown.
Yeah, the clown, man. And then also, like, if we did some kind of gig, you know, like he would yell at me the whole time at the gig, and then when I went home, he'd be like, I'll call you in a little bit. And then he'd talk shit for an hour about the other musicians. Man is not playing the time, man. The horn player, what is those notes, man? It's, you know, he doesn't know the songs, man. He's scuffling. He's scuffling.
That shit is so funny.
Man, we love you, Mikan. I
Dude,
hope you listen to this, man.
Mikan
Thank you so
is
much
the
for
man.
everything. Yeah.
And honestly, the thing is I feel like learning like that music like that's the real way you learn.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just playing with your ear.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I learned that from just playing at my church gig. That's where I really learned all that. And then I just applied it to jazz, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you have to actually hear, like, you got to hear it. That's what they always say.
Yeah.
Well,
the other thing, too, you know, I want to tell any bassist or drummer who's listening, too, is that if you can't figure it out, don't take it personally, because he likes to switch shit up, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because once you get it, then it's going to be some different shit the next time around.
New key.
You know?
Chord sub. No, I thought we played in G normally. Not today.
It's a fucked up key, man. It's a fucked up key. Bro, on that note, I want to end it on a high note because I got to go pick up an amp. But, bro, thank you so much for having me, man. Great times.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Anytime, dude. I'm glad. I got to do this more because I feel like there's a lot of cool people here.
Yeah.
And I got to get Mikan. Yeah, I got to get Marshall Hawkins.
Yeah. Definitely Marshall. Definitely.
Yeah.
Did Matt do it yet?
Matt
Hall.
No, he's done some co-hosting with me.
Oh, okay.
But I got to get Matt just to come on here.
Yeah, man, because he could talk about New York and that's really there's tons of people. Jamie, you know.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a lot. I have a list on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's just long, bro.
Oh man, well, thanks for making time for me, man.
Yeah,
wow.
dude. No, I'm glad we did this. Keep doing your thing. Check out Will. What's your Instagram and Facebook?
My Instagram is at WLYLEBASS, W Lyle Bass.
Perfect.
Okay? And then if you want to check out my band, it's trio.gram.music. Yeah, we'll be posting a lot from there. We got a new album coming out April 7th, 2023. I am self-releasing it. We got our own marketing company named Fully Altered Media, who's done a lot of killing work with great New York jazz artists. And then hopefully it'll be on the jazz radio too.
Cool, man.
So yeah.
Well, congrats, dude. You're killing it.
Thank you so much, man.
And we hope, wish you the best.
And
dude.
we appreciate you, man. Thanks for interviewing. Thanks for making the scene what it is. Thanks for giving people places to play. Thanks for playing your ass off at all times. We love you, bro.
Man. All right, guys, go support Will, and we'll see you on the next one.